Hello students, we're going to be talking about geometry today in the lesson. This will be a short video just to introduce the topic. We're going to be talking about points and lines and rays and angles. There's even something called a line segment. Some of this is pretty easy, but there are specific definitions for each thing. So for a point, that's pretty easy, isn't it? We just know that a point. Now the thing that is important about a point is to know that we actually label a point with a capital letter. So now we have lines, but before we talk about lines, let's talk about a line segment. And a line segment, a segment is a piece of something. A line segment has two endpoints. Endpoints. So let's put a point here and a point here. And when we take our ruler and connect it, we get a straight line between 2 points, and that's a line segment. Believe it or not, that's important to know. Line segment. Now a line's different because a line goes into both directions forever. So the arrows tell me that that line goes on into infinity. But when we make a line, we do still put those segments in there. So a line has the points on it, like a segment, but you must have the arrows to show that you know that each end goes on forever. And that's why a ray is different. A ray only has one line that goes on forever. So a ray starts with a point. That's the critical part. A ray has a beginning point. And then it's a line that goes on forever. Sometimes you might see people do that. But if it's a ray, it needs to have an end point or a starting point, and that line needs to show an arrow, only one. And this leads us into angles. Angles are related to circles, but for this lesson, we're going to just talk about 3 angles. We're going to talk about the 90-degree angle, the acute angle, and the obtuse angle. So the 90-degree angle, just looks like an L. Just like drawing an L. It's a straight up and straight across. And we mark that 90 degrees with a little box there. And that tells us, just because of that little box, I know that that's a 90-degree angle. So, what if we had an angle that was, and here's an important point, that point, there's a point there. What if we had an angle that had this same line, but was smaller than 90? So let's make our end point, and then we'll make a line straight out. We can put an arrow on it if we want to. Now, if I go straight up, I'll have a 90-degree angle. What if I went inside that 90? What if I stayed inside that L? Now I have what we call an acute. Acute means smaller than 90. So when you see an angle that's smaller than 90, then you know it's an acute angle. And we have another name for angles that are larger. So again, what if we start with this endpoint, and I'll make my line straight out. Now, what if I have an angle that's larger than that 90? So let's say we bring it out here. We have a name for those kinds of angles too. An angle that's larger than that 90-degree L, which it is, and if you use your protractor, you'll see as well. That's called an obtuse. So there's our obtuse angle. So again, today we'll just talk about 3 angles. The 90-degree, straight up, straight out. The acute, which is always going to be inside that. And the obtuse, which will always be larger.